If you hear the words roller skating, you probably picture a public session with lights and music. That's true, but there's a lot more going on in this sport. There are many roller skating clubs all over the country, and their skaters compete on regional, national, and even World Cup levels. This year I've been at 2017 USA Roller Sports National Championships in Lincoln, Nebraska, which took place in July-August. The athletes competed in roller derby, inline freestyle, rink hockey, speed and figure disciplines. USARS, USA Roller Sports Organization, have sponsored amateur competitions since 1937 and is dedicated to conducting events for roller sports, inspiring the will to win in sport and in life. Today I invite you to visit Roller Kingdom Tyngsboro Club and to meet coaches and skaters who took part in 2017 USA Roller Sports National Championships. Only 3 athletes from this club went to Nebraska: Taisia Simini, Pat Sandelow, and Joe Grant.
We went to nationals this year in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is our 3rd year skating as a team, and we did very well.
I compete against myself, and I try to improve what I did last. But it's an atmosphere. You can get your mind off of everything around you and just go out there and dance.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I've always been competitive, and if I'm just skating around, for me it can get boring sometimes. And so if I'm working on something, if I'm working on bettering my technique and that sort of thing, like Joe said, it's competing against yourself and not necessarily other people. And it really is fun to perfect your craft. It's like anything else. You know, if you want to be better at it, you have to work at it and you have to practice. And that's what I love, is just getting better at what I've chosen to do.
And you get to know yourself.
Taisia Simini lives in Westland and is a Westwood Academy sophomore.
I went to nationals this year. It was my 5th one in Lincoln, Nebraska. In my event, Sophomore A, Women's Fig Loops, I got 3rd place. My first nationals was in 2011, and I was the last but one in most of my events. And through the years, I practiced more and I became more experienced and more confident in myself. And in 2014 when I went, I made finals. It was my first finals I made, and that gave me a huge boost of motivation. The next season I practiced hard. I was here most days of the week, and in 2016 I got a gold medal, freshman, sophomore B, figures, loops combined. That helped me again to keep my motivation and get the bronze medal this year.
In 3rd place and winning the bronze medal from Tyngsboro, Massachusetts, contestant number 14, Taisia Simini. Once again, let's give these ladies a nice round of applause, our Sophomore A Women Loops National Champions.
Very impressive achievements. My next question was about their memories of when and how they started to skate.
I started skating in 2008, and my first time I could barely take a step. I was in the middle of the floor where all the beginners were. I was so scared to fall, I pulled down my dad so I wouldn't fall. At that time I was also doing soccer, ballroom dancing, and art, and I was fine at everything. All the schoolwork and homework, it's piling up, so I had to cut down on my activities, and I decided that I would just stay with skating so I can improve, because to me it's fun and I like to see my improvement and I like to compete and just be in that environment.
I had skated back in the 60s, and I skated from 61 to 65, and then I took a 43-year hiatus and came back on my 65th birthday, and the people here were really, really nice, and I got the bug again and started skating competition again. It wasn't like riding a bicycle, believe me. I put skates on and I was lucky to be able to stand up, but with Diane's guidance, I was able to get back into it, and it's really been a lot of fun.
When Pat came back, Diane wanted me to skate as Santa Claus in Christmas, and I thought Santa should do waltzes, so Pat and we did waltzes in the Christmas show. I enjoyed it, and we skated so well together, I thought we should try it as a team. What brought me to skating is I was dragged to the rink. Okay, I had a group of ladies that worked for me, and they dragged me to the rink, and the funny thing is I was a gymnast and I couldn't stand up. I constantly fell. I would stand up, fall, stand up and fall. So that's what's got me started skating, is I had to at least stand up and roll around the rink once without falling.
Because of young age, I couldn't ask Taisia, but I asked Pat and Joe to compare the atmosphere at the Nationals in the 80s and now. Their coach, Diane Gagnon, joined the conversation.
There were so many more people that skated, and the events were much bigger. The Nationals wasn't as big. It didn't go as many days, but the one thing that I really noticed and I miss is everybody sat, we have regions, and everybody sat in their region, and they stayed through the whole competition, so that if you were a youngster that was skating, the adults were there to cheer you on and support you, and vice versa. When the adults skated, the young people were there to support you. And it was like this friendly competition between regions, and everybody had a great time. And when I skated back in the 60s, Saturday was like dress-up night, and people would come, and spectators would come in gowns and tuxedos, and it was just a really big affair. And so I kind of missed that excitement.
Pat and Joe both skated a long time ago, and in those days we had numerous skaters. The events were quite large. A lot of people skated. Of course, this was before we had every other sport, electronics, all kinds of things that children do nowadays. So the sport has gone down a little bit, just like I think other sports have suffered due to the fact that children do everything. No one does just skating and dancing, or skating and Boy Scouts. Now everybody, the girls do all the sports, the boys do all the sports, and they try to fit it all in, along with every birthday party that comes along, and playing on their iPads and doing everything. And unfortunately, you can't do it all. So sometimes the commitment isn't always there. So the kids come in and skate and do their lessons and practice a little bit. But if you really want to get to that national level, you do have to put the time in. And it's hard to compete with all those other activities that everybody does nowadays.
Making a commitment is the easy part. Keeping the commitment is where you separate the men from the boys, and the mature from the immature.
Joe and I practice, and I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning to get here in time for an early morning practice where we can have the floor to ourselves. So, but it does take commitment, and but the rewards are so great. It's really worth it.
I remember the words of Tommy Lasoda: the difference between the impossible and the possible lies in man's determination. Decide, commit, succeed. This looks like the way to achieving your goal, and looks like the commitment part is the hardest. It is much easier to try different sports one after another just for fun, what nowadays kids mostly do, and what reminds me of butterflies flying from one flower to another. It is much harder to be determined to work for success in one particular sport. I asked Taisia Simini what she thinks about determination and commitment in succeeding.
To get a medal at nationals, or even to make it to nationals, you have to be determined. And determination means you have to be at the rink multiple days of the week. I'm here on the season 5 to 6 days a week for about 2 hours a day, and I practice the same thing over and over again until I feel that it improved. It obviously overlaps with school, and so when I come home from school, I see when my lesson is, and if I have enough time, I start some of my homework, and then I go to skating, I skate, and then I come home and I finish it or I study. Some days when I have just too much stuff, I can bring some of it to skating and I can work on it in between my practices. And it's a lot of organization and a lot of sacrifices, but it's worth it. When you improve, you see your scores improve, or you get a medal at nationals, you feel like it was all worth it in the end, that, you know, not going to someone's party was worth it because you got to practice and you got to achieve your goal.
Skaters you met today proved their loyalty and commitment to roller skating. Congratulations to Taisia Simini, Patricia Sindrilow, and Joseph Grant, and also their coaches Bonnie Becker and Diane Gagnon.
I've been here for 30+ years, and I'd like to, give you a little information on the roller rink. The roller rink has many public sessions where, anyone can come. We have birthday parties, and the birthday parties, a lot of the kids come. In fact, one of our best skaters, which is Taisia Simini, started out with a birthday party, her 8th birthday party, and she continued skating and became one of our best competitive skaters. Last year she got first at the U.S. Nationals, and this year she got a bronze medal at the U.S. Nationals. She was in a much more difficult category this year, and we were just so proud that she was able to come home with a bronze medal. We have a lot of skaters. They go from age, I would say, 3 to some of them are 75 plus. They have a lot of fun here. They make a lot of friends. We have an adult session on Thursday morning. It goes from 10 to 12, and many of the adults are, in their 60s, 70s, 80s, still skating. They started out as competitive skaters, and they're still rolling and enjoying the skating. It's just a great session. Twice a year we have shows, which the kids love doing. One is a Christmas show, and then we have the spring show at the end of the year. And the kids are able to show their relatives, their family, all the things that they learn throughout the year.